Welcome to this definitive executive explainer. Listen, today we are stepping directly into the roles of chief commercial officers and master data synthesizers. We're here to break down what is, without a doubt, a profound Canadian industrial bioeconomy solution. I'm talking about the 905 Wood Digital Refinery. Now, to be clear right up front, this isn't just a high-level chat about managing waste logistics. No, this is a broadcast-ready, high-converting strategic briefing. We are going to look exactly at how a rapidly converging North American regulatory crisis is being systematically transformed into a highly lucrative, completely sovereign industrial asset. We're talking about a fundamental state change here, literally taking raw, chaotic physical matter and turning it into pristine, queryable data.
Here is our agenda for today's briefing. We're going to cover, number 1, the North American trade collision. Number 2, Ontario's 2034 capacity cliff. Number 3, the Sentient Bridge technology. Number 4, the AI Edge compliance gate. And finally, number 5, decoupled billing and carbon gold. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1, North American trade collision and the squeeze on the transborder trade pipe.
Okay, so following the volatile 2025 elections, we witnessed a massive, undeniable shift towards state-directed industrial urgency on both sides of the border. Looming U.S. protectionist tariffs created this incredibly high-stakes trade environment where what used to be standard waste logistics suddenly transformed into a severe cross-border liability. When you lay out the chronological timeline, the urgency is just glaring. In January 2026, we had the Blue Box collapse, which effectively ended municipal curbside collection for commercial cardboard under extended producer responsibility rules. That was the first domino. Then, in July, the United States Trade Representative issued a Section 301 ruling. That led directly into August 2026, where a brutal 50% tariff wall was implemented on finished Canadian wood products. And looming like a dark cloud over all of this is 2034. The hard, undeniable date for total landfill exhaustion in Ontario. The necessity for a USMCA border shield has literally never been more immediate. We are out of time for half measures.
Now, you have to understand that this transborder trade pipe has historically existed because of an extreme economic arbitrage. Right now, Ontario exports over 3.46 million tons of waste annually. To put that into perspective, that makes up 14.35% of all Michigan landfill disposal. Why is that happening? Well, it's simple math. Because the Greater Toronto Area receiving side fee sits at a staggering $189.86 per ton, while the Michigan accept side fee historically sat at a meager 36 cents per ton. It was a no-brainer. But listen to me, that era is ending right now. As Michigan tipping fees rapidly climb toward $5 per ton and operators are staring down the barrel of looming 35% USCMCA tariffs under HS Code 3825.10, not to mention severe 40% de minimis transshipment penalties, this historically safe vulnerability is totally collapsing. Relying on U.S. disposal routes is now an urgent financial liability.
Moving to Section 2, Ontario's 2034 capacity cliff, a geologic countdown.
We are pivoting now to a massive domestic structural boundary facing Ontario. This is a boundary that demands immediate, aggressive operational pivots from every major general contractor out there. We call this the capacity cliff. And it is absolutely crucial that you understand this is not just some theoretical spreadsheet projection. It is a terminal geologic constraint. Ontario only has between 32 million and 45 million tons of permitted domestic clay-lined landfill capacity remaining. Period. By a 2034 midpoint, it will reach total exhaustion. This is a rigid legislative and physical reality. You can't negotiate with geology. This makes the transition to circular infrastructure not just a nice idea, but an absolute corporate survival mandate. Facing this brutal physical reality and the very real threat of U.S. border closures, the provincial government didn't wait around. They rapidly enacted Bill 5, the Protecting Ontario Act. Now, neutrally speaking, what this legislation did was bypass traditional municipal regulations and slow-moving environmental assessments to force rapid industrial self-reliance. It stripped away layers of judicial friction to forcefully secure domestic infrastructure amidst this looming cross-border crisis. For corporate interests and institutional investors, this signaled a brand new era of expedited, proud Canadian industrial sovereignty. The government essentially cleared the runway for massive innovation.
Section 3, the Sentient Bridge technology, turning matter into data.
So how exactly do we navigate this brutal collision of protectionist tariffs and domestic capacity exhaustion? Enter the 905 WO Digital Refinery. This platform functions as a deep-tech sentient bridge. It is a zero-duplication transformation of chaotic physical construction and demolition waste into a highly pure, high-margin USMCA-exempt digital asset. Think about it. Instead of relying on tired manual labor that suffers from intense operational fatigue and human error, we are using smart, automated on-device cameras and edge AI to verify materials directly at the source. Physical matter is systematically and ruthlessly converted into queryable, highly profitable data. It's a straight line from matter to data to money.
To pull off something this complex at the industrial edge, the hardware and software architecture has to be mandatory frontier tier. You can't use off-the-shelf toys for this. While the foundational architecture initially relied on the Pixel 10 Pro, the system dynamically scales up to leverage the newly deployed Google Pixel 11 Pro, which is powered by the incredibly fast Tensor G6 chip and runs on Android 17. The system uses TurboQuant compression and the light RT AI stack to process vast amounts of data right at the edge without lagging. It leverages a bleeding-edge frontier multi-model pipeline that seamlessly orchestrates Gemini 3.6 Pro, Gemini 3.5 Flash, Claude Opus 4.8, Claude's Sonnet 4.6, and even GPT OSS 120B to make routing decisions. All that forensic metadata is then locked down via AlloyDB for strict Canadian data residency. And from a user experience standpoint, it's all wrapped up in a high-contrast industrial UI design. Think deep blacks, crisp whites, and safety orange and yellow, engineered specifically to be visible and functional in the hostile, dirty realities of a demolition environment.
Let's look at Section 4, AI Edge Compliance Gate, Securing the Border.
Now let's get into the exact mechanics of how this edge compute power actually automates regulatory compliance. Look, the industry standard has always been a complete compliance black box. It's full of messy, manual logs, paper trails, and retroactive audits that create a massive legal liability. 905 Wood completely replaces that antiquated system with what we call explainable compliance. By running Google Gemini Vertex AI pipelines and AlloyDB, the system digitizes the exact forensic requirements of Ontario Regulation 347. This saves operators from devastating fines and rejected shipments by using AI-driven chemical threshold logic to output court-admissible rationales for every single material routing decision. It's a fully PIPADA-compliant ledger that proves you followed the rules, every single time.
Here's how the traditionally complex 12-stage toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, or TCLP, hazardous isolation chain, is condensed down into 4 incredibly swift, automated steps at the triage and verification gate. First, the 2-second multimodal intake engine captures high-resolution imagery and data via the Pixel Edge TPU. Second, a density engineering engine runs a dual-model consensus, evaluating the load against specific amber band limits to instantly spot hidden contaminants like weathered or treated wood. Third, if anything is flagged, it immediately undergoes spectroscopic adjudication via on-site NIR and XRF sensors. And finally, step 4, the driver uses a cryptographic hold-to-seal function, permanently locking the exact GPS coordinates, the cryptographic kernel hash, and the precise timestamps. All of this happens seamlessly and instantly guarantees material safety at the bin in under 500 milliseconds.
So, what happens when those spectroscopic sensors actually detect toxicological data breaching the rigid TCLP limits? Let's say it finds arsenic over the 2.5 milligrams per liter statutory limit, or lead and chromium over 5.0. In those cases, the AI system autonomously triggers an auto-reject branch. It instantly makes a call to the RPR API to manifest the hazardous waste locally, and crucially, it immediately revokes any pending USCMCA certificates of origin. This completely averts disastrous, business-ending border seizures before the truck even leaves the demolition site. The border is secured because bad material never even hits the highway.
Section 5. Decoupled Billing and Carbon Gold, Analyzing the Commercial Delta.
$1,053.23. That right there is the exact provincial CRCI levy savings per 144-yard mothership load. Under Ontario law, unverified mixed waste is penalized heavily at a severe $60 per ton. But through the clean, automated AI verification of the 905 Wood Digital Refinery, that $60 penalty is slashed all the way down to just $5 per ton. By accurately and undeniably segregating clean wood right at the bin, you secure massive, immediate operational margin expansion.
To actually capture and distribute this value, 905 Wood utilizes a Stripe Layer 4 decoupled billing architecture. Now, this is incredibly exciting for the C-suite and institutional investors because it means the heavy municipal solid waste tax burden is completely stripped away for operators. Producer-type profiles receive a 7-line transparent invoice. Base logistics are locked in via request for quote, or RFQ, automation at solid contract rates. Ontario Transportation Insurance is fully optimized, which totally mitigates your failure risks. Those massive search levy savings we just talked about, they are passed directly through to the client. Meanwhile, line 7 of that invoice explicitly notes the retention of the carbon dividend by 905 Wood. This entirely offsets the hardware capital costs. This decoupled structure brilliantly and legally isolates the logistics cost from the refinement value.
Which brings us to the ultimate prize, the carbon gold, 7,660 Canadian dollars. When that clean, AI-verified wood is successfully diverted from a dying landfill and routed for high-temperature pyrolysis, it is sequestered into biocarbon. This specific process yields premium carbon removal certificates, or CORCs. At spot-high MRV registry pricing, a single verified load generates over $7,500 in carbon dividends, fully processed locally in Ontario. Clients are then handed the ultimate proof-of-work prize, a complete digital package that includes verification PDFs, compliance PDFs, certificate of origin PDFs, and embedded QR codes. It is a flawless, auditable data asset.
I want to leave you with a quote that perfectly summarizes our entire explainer today. We must stop viewing waste as a physical liability and start viewing it as queryable data, matter to data to money. By establishing a sovereign industrial advantage through advanced edge AI, we don't just solve a massive landfill crisis, we literally mint a pristine financial asset. So, I leave you with this final provocative question. As that 2034 capacity cliff rapidly approaches, is your organization prepared to let millions in carbon gold remain buried as a toxic liability, or are you ready to deploy the Sentient Bridge and refine it into queryable data? Thank you so much for joining me for this executive briefing.